Welcome to Scoop World Order. Happy second day of spring ball. Is Michigan about to get hit by a monster bombshell report? Ooh, we've got all the details on that. We're excited about it. It's going to be a great week next week for Ryan Day when he's on spring break. He'll probably have a couple extra Mai Tais when he's on the beach because this is going to be a good one. Got a little report from some of our people that are at practice today, so we're going to go through that. Some of the stuff that we got. We appreciate you guys as always. The paid forward has been unbelievable. We added a bunch of new members today. I was working at that feverishly as I got home. And I just really appreciate you guys taking care of those guys via the super chats, via the Scoop Ultra memberships. It's taking care of a lot of good folks that have done a lot of good stuff for this country. Armed forces, police officers, any branch of the military, obviously. Firefighters, first responders. We got some great people that have joined BuckeyeScoop.com. Thanks to you guys and your generosity. So thank you all for that. If you guys enjoy this content, please click the subscribe button. Again, we are very close to 30,000, so keep on spreading the good word. Appreciate you guys. Also, click that like button right now. It's a little thumbs up in the corner. That is huge for helping us grow this channel, so thank you for that. And hit the little alert bell, so you get an alert every time we go. It's usually around 7. Likely will be around 7 again tomorrow. And for the foreseeable future, Saturday probably go a little early because of UFC 299. But again, we appreciate you guys as always. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. And would you guys come to a meetup around the spring game, either Friday or Saturday? Put that in the comments in the chat because, again, a lot of interest in it. Trying to get organized is always a blast. So just let me know if you guys have any interest in that. And we'll go from there. But the big news of the day, Nevada, is there is a pending report that's coming out in a very near future, a few days, few weeks, very quick here, that is going to drop a lot of bombshells on Michigan. There are whistleblowers talking to we know who is going to release support. We're not going to release the name just because we've got very, very good sources, but it's coming. It is going to be absolutely glorious. It's going to name Juwan Howard, Ward Manuel, a lot of the stuff from the football program. There's some women's sports stuff in there, stuff we've been talking about, some very nasty stuff that's been covered up by the University of Michigan. It'll look terrible for Ward Manuel. What are your thoughts on that? We kind of went back and forth. You were telling me about what you'd heard. I think it's going to be a very wonderful day for Ohio State fans that are going to be on. Any Ohio State people that are on spring break are going to have a great day at the whatever smoke bar they're at. It's going to be a good time and probably a big tab because they're going to be so excited because Michigan is about to get hammered. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, now we've been telling you about the report as stuff has started to kind of leak, as some of the more of the information's kind of come out. We've been able to kind of flush out a little bit more. It just gets more and more chilling. I mean, it's really an expose on an athletic department that's completely out of control. And you talk about Ward Manuel is the head of this thing. I mean, he's been the head of. There have been payoffs to assault victims. There have been incomplete investigations. There have been I think Hockey Canada and that type of a situation with the University of Michigan men's hockey team. Obviously the Juwan Howard stuff. Obviously the football team stuff. But there's a lot of juicy stuff in there that's coming out. And this to me, it just harkens back to the days of when Jim Tressel was under full attack, and it just seemed like every day something was coming, and this is going to be bad because the stuff in here, it's clear what they're doing. What they're trying to do is they're trying to dump. The whistleblowers are blowing all the stuff that's been going on at Michigan athletics, and as they're trying to prepare Ward Manuel to go down once the second letter of allegation hits from the NCAA. They're going to try to wrap it all around his neck, try to throw him off the boat. And, that's going to be kind of their, way of kind of appeasing the NCAA. See, we fired our athletic director over this. We fired the chairman of the college football playoff committee over this. But really, it's just the board of trustees really want to get rid of this guy. There's a large segment of the fan base that really wants to get rid of this guy. But, man, that athletic department up there is an absolute cesspool. And when you read this, I know we're going to get the comments, oh, nothing's come out in the national media. Nothing. I haven't read anything. Well, that's why you're here. That's why you're listening. When it comes out, when you read it, remember where you heard it first. It's bad. It's like I said, it paints a picture of an organization that has prioritized winning over everything else, over sexual harassment, over sexual assault, over grade inaccuracies, um, inconsistent punishments to staff members, covering up of NCAA violations. I mean, it goes through the whole thing. And it's going to be a bad day to be a Michigan fan. It's going to be a bad day to be Ward Manuel. And it's just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper as this NCAA second letter of allegation comes out. But this is going to hit before that. I would predict, I always hate timing this stuff, but I would predict next week. That's my bet. But if it slides a week, yeah, I mean, it could. But I really think it drops next week, and it's going to be a dark day for Michigan and a glorious day to be an Ohio State fan because it couldn't happen to a bigger bunch of scumbags. So I'm pretty psyched about it.
Yeah, when like there's a couple good investigative media outlets that are still left. When they get a hold of the whistleblowers and the whistleblowers start talking, the university gets tipped off. Hey, this is coming. You guys better get your ducks in a row. And I mean, again, there's always leaks everywhere. That's kind of why we're what we are, because there's great sources that we can find. And I'm telling you, they are bracing for it. It is not going to be a good day for the Big Blue. Again, there's some very nasty things that have been covered up. Payments received to sexual assault victims, stuff that is very, very graphic that'll be in this. So again, Michigan decided to go image over everything. So they just covered everything up. They covered up all of the, they didn't do the right thing. They didn't discipline. They covered up. And again, that's horrendous. And it's something that I think is going to be Ward Manuel's downfall. Again, when people start sharpening their knives towards somebody, in this case, Ward Manuel, the time is numbered. I mean, I'm telling you, when it's the highest up people in Michigan, the Board of Trustees members, the regents, the major donors, when they start leaking this stuff and the whistleblowers all of a sudden are discovered by the media, like this isn't some, like it's not like the investigative journalist was like going through the phone book and just calling everybody and asking, like they were pointed to these people by people inside of Michigan, and then they spouted off everything, and then all of a sudden this thing's going to come out, man. It's going to be bad. And again, we've said it a million times. Again, Juwan Howard, likely a dead man walking, but Jim Harbaugh got out of Dodge as fast as any national championship coach maybe in the history of football. I mean, he was gone as soon as the parade was over and they had the thing at the little arena. He was out. And he took his staff, and his staff knew this was coming too. So it is, it's going to be very, 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 very exciting for Ohio State fans. Talked to some people inside the Woody Hayes, and they're very excited that we had this. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it all breaks. Because again, this is something. It reminds me of the Tressel scandal, except this is a billion times worse because this is sexual assault. This is something that this isn't trading trinkets for and tattoos for buckets of chicken or whatever we did back then. This is like some serious crime and serious cover up and payments, and so this is going to be a different level of bad. So again, we had this, we nailed this, and this is going to come out. And again, we're being very high level just because we aren't going to burn the people that are bringing us this stuff, but it's going to be really, really interesting to see how Michigan reacts to it. And again, all of the pompousness is going to die instantaneously when this thing comes out, because this is not going to look good for the old maize and blue. Nevada projecting it to come out. I agree with you. I think it's going to come out next week, and it's going to be bad. What do you think Michigan's initial reaction is going to be, and how long do you think Ward Manuel can keep his job?
Oh, I think they do keep him until the second letter of allegation. I think they're going to try to get him to that spot so that they can try to, like I said, they're going to try to put as much on him as possible. They know it's coming. They know it's bad. But I thought you made an excellent point about image over everything. And in Michigan, Michigan's always been that way. Michigan's always been the leaders of the West or whatever the heck, or I don't even know what the victors of the world, or I don't even know their song, whatever it is. But it's always about the Michigan education and the Michigan man and those that stay that will be champions. And the Sandusky thing at Penn State was horrifying. Okay, that was Sandusky and one in Paterno, and that was bad. But that was and maybe I think the associate AD or the AD or whatever it was. This is up and down the entire Michigan athletic department. This goes across men's teams, women's teams, different sports. I mean, it's just terrible what they had. And as the CEO of the athletic department, Ward Manuel, you're responsible for everything that goes on there. You're the guy that's got to maintain control of this. And not only, so your Ward Manuel sitting and all this stuff's going on because he's aware of all of this is going on. And then you have Juwan Howard take a swing at the strength coach or try to fight him again, and you still don't fire him. So it's not like there's been lesson learned. It's not like there's been contrition. So when you ask me what's their reaction going to be on this, I think it'll be the usual Michigan reaction of, oh, it's only a cheeseburger. Oh, this isn't true. Oh, it's not a big deal. And they'll try to minimize every little thing and try to make up excuses for why Ryan Day's brother, who's the investigator, fed this to somebody who put it up, and Ryan Day committed treason. And I mean, I think that'll be the typical Michigan response, because until they finally accept responsibility and finally accept the realization that their program is out of control, that in their desperate zeal to become relevant in the sports world after not having won a national championship in 40 years or whatever the heck it's been, that they were willing to sell everything out. They were willing to cheat. They were willing to cover things up. They were willing to do anything they could to protect the image of the university. And even if it meant paying off victims, even if it meant slow playing investigations, they were willing to do it all, and they did it all. But when this stuff comes out, it's not going to read well. And unless you're an Ohio State fan, then it's going to read extremely well. So buckle up, Michigan fans, because it's coming.
Yeah, like I said, it's not going to be good. I mean, I lived this when the Sports Illustrated article, RIP Sports Illustrated, which is gone forever, it came out, and it was like supposed to be this, this diabolical scheme of what he knew, Jim Tressel, the diabolical, evil, awful human being who rigged a raffle so that the best player at the camp would win, like every coach in the entire universe in the history of college football used to do, like we used to do, because you want the best player to win, because you want him to come to Ohio State, hint, hint. And then it was like, this guy that was like incarcerated is getting interviewed by some idiot. And it's like, oh, well, I used to have these guys over and I'd do tattoos and we'd play Xbox and I'd order chicken and we'd eat. And I'm just like, this is what we're going to crucify Jim Tressel over. And we did, because again, Ohio State puts image over everything. So if you, one false step, they will slice your head off and not think twice about it. And that's what everyone trusts. And like, did he screw up? Yeah, of course. But was it like the worst thing in the history of the universe, like it was made out to be? Not really. I mean, I still, I'm just like flabbergasted in the era that we live in now that we whacked Jim Tressel for what happened. But again, we had Urban Meyer waiting in the wings. And I knew after we got waxed by Florida in 06, there was always a subset of very, very wealthy people that control Ohio State that wanted Urban Meyer to be the head coach. So as soon as they had their chance, they threw Tress out like the bathwater, like the baby with the bathwater. But it'll be interesting because, Michigan, I mean, I can't imagine Juwan Howard surviving this, because not only is he a terrible human being, but he's also a terrible coach, and his program is in ruins right now. At least under John Beeline, they were respectable. But now it's like you have a guy who's a total thug running your program, and they suck. So it's like a double whammy. And then some of the stuff that we were told possibly about with women's sports, like this is deep. Like, because the thing that was shocking to me when I was getting this report today is the fact that this isn't just like the football team or just the basketball team or just the men's ice hockey team. This is like 4 or 5 different programs in the Michigan athletic department. And it's not like it's just like one little dinky cover up. There's stuff all over the place that polluted this thing. So, I don't know. I'm excited for it. It's going to happen. And just remember, when it happens, we're the guys that had it first, because this is something this is going to be a biggie. And again, I was giddy and I could not wait to get to 7:00 tonight, because I just couldn't wait to deliver this to you guys. We're going to get into some Spring Ball Day 2 stuff. We've got a couple super chats. So we'll get through these and we'll talk a little bit about what happened in Spring Ball Day 2. VP of Hype, what is up, my man? Thank you for the 5. Can we have a poll to select the most arrogant Twitter account to tag when the story is released? We could. I don't know. I don't really follow any Michigan Twitter accounts. I'm sure they're arrogant. James Yoder's my boy. He's kind of enjoying. He's kind of like, he knows that this is a Titanic and they're about to hit the iceberg, and he's on the deck with the guys playing the violin, knowing that they're about to be at the bottom of the ocean in about a week. He's a realist, but other than that, I don't follow those guys. I know that their beat writers are the worst beat writers in the history of mankind. They're the most incompetent, arrogant, stupid human beings I've ever seen. And again, the fact that we're running, like, we don't even try. That's the funny thing about the Michigan stuff is, like, I'm not out there just searching around for Michigan stuff. I get it. People give it to me. People that are very high level people give it to me, and they say, "Kirk, do with it. Do your thing with this." I'm like, okay, but like they have no clue, and we're an Ohio State site, so I don't. It's not our mo to like let's just go cover this Michigan stuff, but it's gonna be one of the biggest stories in the entire country when it breaks. So, Nevada, you probably don't follow any Michigan Twitter accounts. I'm sure you'd be fine if we had a poll to select the most arrogant Michigan Twitter account.
Yeah, I think it'd be probably like a tie, but isn't the answer like all of them or something like that? But yeah, no, if they could pick one in particular, yeah, I don't do it. As you said, we just kind of stumble into this information on Michigan because again, I have no interest in Michigan. I don't, like some people talk about they have like friends at Michigan or Michigan friends. I don't have Michigan friends. I have some people that I know that are Michigan, but in Michigan stuff right now, it's so, like I said, this story is so big and so juicy that it just comes to us by accident. But it is kind of funny that a Ohio State side has been the one that's broken every piece of news on the Michigan scandal since this whole thing broke. But like you said, when this happens, remember, Scoop had it first.
We did, and we know that everybody loves that we always have stuff first. Jim OSU, thank you for the deuce. Appreciate you, my man. You got a second one coming up. Also, thanks for the four burger. What about Keenan's punishment? I have not heard anything on that. Frankly, I don't care. I mean, I guess he was out there coaching today and running around like nothing happened, but it's probably something internal. There's probably going to be some sort of a discipline, or I don't know. I mean, I don't care. I mean, he already got punished like by the strength coach that walloped him and beat the tar out of him. So, Nevada, do you have any thoughts on what Keenan's punishment should be? Maybe he should go fight Mike Tyson when he's 57 years old.
I'm, and I know we're having fun with it, and I know we're talking about, but I'm of the opinion that this is serious. I'm of the opinion that when you get into a fight with another employee at the thing, that's bad. And I think, I'm sure there will be internal punishment. I'm sure there'll be, some sort of discipline, reprimand or whatever, but there absolutely should be. I mean, that's unacceptable behavior. It's really unacceptable to do it in front of And what type of message does that send to the team to do that? I hate everything about it. I hate everything about that situation. And I hope Dave would come down hard on this, and really deal with it. I'm going to dig to find out what I can about the punishment, but I hope it's harsh, and I hope that the message is sent loud and clear that that's not acceptable and not repeatable.
Well, here's my thing: the fact that it happened in front of the players at a player workout, he should be fired. In my opinion. So it's not that I take it lightly.
I agree.
It's not that I take it lightly. I don't know how you come back from that. If you throw a punch at a strength coach and then the strength coach tackles you and beats the absolute crap out of you, like, you should be fired. It's not because you lost the fight or anything like that. It's just like there's no circumstance why you should be fighting somebody who's in that situation, because it's one of those things where I couldn't imagine ever, because again, like I got into it with coaches when I was a coach, when I was a GA. There was a time where Nick Siciliano tried to show me up on the field, and I literally said, "Don't ever do that again." And again, I didn't care. I had NFL money. I was fine, but he tried to show me up about something, and he said that a look that I drew wasn't the right look, and I'm like, they never ran that the entire season because it was a specific. I'll never forget this because he was so mad on the field. And I said, Nick, I looked for 30 minutes to find that. Sorry, I apologize. And it was just one of those things where I didn't know what to do. And like, I was so mad. It was as mad as I've ever been on a football field. And I just told him, I'm like, look, dude, we'll go into the film room and you show me where that is in the breakdown. And we never found it. But sure as can be, it existed somewhere where it wasn't marked. It was like in some dark corner. It was like the 80th play of the UNLV game, but it wasn't part of our breakdown. And I was like, well, if it's not in the breakdown, I'm not drawing it because I'm not going to go through, 20 games to try to find one look that didn't even make the breakdown. So I drew it to the best of my ability because it's just like a tight cover 3 defense, which like every one in the universe runs. And he's like, well, that's not how they line up. And I'm like, but it was bad. But I still didn't hit him. Again, there's nothing in this universe that would make me hit a coach unless they hit me first. Because again, once you do that in front of your players, then I don't know how they can ever respect you again. And again, I've been a coach, and there were times I wanted to hit a lot of the coaches I worked with because they're idiots. There's some guys they'd go over the line with players, they'd go over the line with trainers, they would say crude things I didn't agree with, things that really like real men wouldn't say to a player or a female trainer. And they really needed like their, again, I'm not going to say it, but they needed their butt kicked bad, and I wanted to do it, but I didn't do it just because, again, that's not how you can't do that in normal society. You can't do that in a normal workplace. And football, for people that have never worked in a football building in college, like working in football is not like a regular job. It's not like a regular place. I tell people that I'm like, look, in a regular work, like you get off like certain holidays, you get off Christmas, you get sick days. Like, if you're sick as a coach, you don't get to like sit home and drink chicken noodle soup and watch, a movie. Like you're in that office still. I mean, unless you're dying, you're still there because that's the culture of being a football coach. And I laugh about it because people are like, like I said, when I coached football, it made me like the hardiest worker in the world in the regular workplace because like I wasn't used to having time off. I wasn't used to having sick days. I was used to being able to leave to go to the dentist. Like you can't, like when you're a football coach, you don't have time to do any of that. Get your oil changed, like any stupid thing you can think of, like you can't do any of it. So, but I think Keenan Bailey should be fired. And again, it's not because I'm vindictive towards Keenan, but if you're going to attack a strength coach in front of your tight ends, like I just don't know how you come back from that. And again, that's my opinion. It's the right opinion. I don't care who you are, because you can't be out there just getting dog walked by one of the strength coaches because you think you're hard when you really aren't. But that's my opinion. So I'm not taking it lightly. I think that it is going to be taken lightly because I know that Keenan Bailey is Ryan Day's boy. So if this was Parker Fleming doing it, he probably would have been canned, or Corey Dennis, or one of the guys that he was planning on getting rid of. But Keenan is Ryan Day's boy. So again, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I 100% agree. I think it's serious business, and I look at the Ohio State thing. It's like the workplace, and two of my employees got in a fight. Somebody threw a punch at somebody at the work. I mean, I don't know if I'd fire them right on the spot, but there'd be severe repercussions. But yeah, no, that's a bad one all the way around. And like I said, as good as it was that Zach reported that, I'm glad we weren't the ones that broke that one. Because everything about that story just makes me uneasy, and I don't like that story at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it because I don't know how that could be allowed in a football building, or that can't be allowed in any workplace setting. And again, if it was any other part of the entire university, he'd be fired. Like, you can't, like if a professor attacked another professor, or somebody Gene Smith beat up one of the beat up Dan Cloran, the development guy, like nobody's gonna. I mean, that's like a no brainer, especially when there's people there. Because like again, it's not like he did it in the staff room with the doors closed and it's the coaches. Like he did it in front of the players. And again, when you do something, there's this line in coaching: you can't do things in front of the players. Like you can't. If like Urban was real big on, if you're at a bar or you're downtown or wherever, and any players show up, get out of there, leave. Like that was his thing. And I was like, well, and he had spies. He always had people out at the bars looking around for players and coaches and mingling. And so I was like, well, I ain't gonna be me. You ain't gonna ever catch me downtown where the kids are. So I might go like somewhere locally, but I'm not going to be like out loitering at one of the bars that were popular back when those guys were when I was there as a coach, because it doesn't make any sense, and you're just asking for trouble. Nevada, Dave Mathis asks, is Nevada planning on doing a meetup here in Las Vegas? Ooh. Scoop Ultra member, thanks for the deuce, Dave. Appreciate that. I don't know if we have plans for that. It's hard to get out there, honestly. But your thoughts on that, Nevada? Again, I mean, logistically, that's tough, especially like the way we work. We podcast every night, so it's hard to get out there.
Yeah, it's so hard. Great idea, though. I mean, great idea wherever on occasion in terms of doing that. We can get out there, and that would be great. I obviously love Las Vegas, love the city, love the people of Las Vegas, and that'd be a lot of fun. We should get that
Yeah.
on the books.
Yeah, and Vegas is the best city in the world. I tell people, like, people that don't like Vegas are just crazy because it's, if you want to get away for 3 or 4 days and you like pools and sun and great food and anything in the world that you could ever imagine you want to do, it's the greatest place in the world. Because I've gone to like Miami, I go to Naples, I go to Fort Myers all the time. Like, I could go down there for 4 days and it might rain for 2 of them. So all of a sudden, like, what are you doing? You're sitting in your hotel room watching movies or on your iPad, and it's like, it just ruins it. But in the desert, it's pretty good. Jeff Baker, thank you for the 10. Do you think all of this is coming out to deflect away from the football program and minimize damage? No, I think it's coming out to maximize damage, actually. I think there's got to be some stuff on the football program, but a lot of it with the Stallion stuff is pretty much out there. But it'll be interesting. That was like the one thing that they weren't super clear on, is it was going to be new football stuff. There's really clear basketball stuff, hockey stuff. Um, but I honestly think it's the opposite. I think it's to maximize and get rid of Ward Manuel. You know, like when all of a sudden, like these whistleblowers are pointed in the direction of the media, that's how universities weaponize the media. Because again, like Ohio State, they weaponize the media all the time. And most of the time, the people that are the media that cover Ohio State are so dumb, they don't realize they're being weaponized. So they'll put out narratives that are false, and they'll have everybody say, hey, say this about this player or say this about this coach. And then, they all just are like, and then, again, like that's why they don't, we're honest, and the media that covers Ohio State and Michigan has never been more dishonest. Like, it's almost unbelievable, some of the stuff that they say. But I think it's to maximize the damage and to get rid of Ward Manuel. Nevada, your thoughts from Jeff Baker. Do you think that all this is coming out to deflect away from the college football program and minimize damage?
No, I agree with you. I think this is to demonstrate that the malfeasance at Michigan goes way deeper and way beyond just the football and the football cheating scandal. That it permeates the entire athletic department. So no, it's yeah, this is like a carpet bombing thing as opposed to some sort of like strategic thing where they're putting like the one missile on the silo or something like this. They're going to carpet bomb the whole area. Because that's what needs to be done, because that's how bad it is in Michigan athletics right now.
I totally agree. Buckeye Blitz, thank you for the 5. Scoop meet up at Schembechler Hall to watch the trophy get taken away. We all wave goodbye. Nevada OH.
I-O.
So I've been to Schembechler Hall. This will be like one of those things where it'll be like the Paterno Trophy, where they put the big tarp up and nobody can see it, and they use the forklift to carry it away, and it's gonna be it'll be like one of those things where they, like when they throw Bin Laden's body in the middle of the ocean so they can't make it into like a monument for terrorism. Like that's what this will be. Like, it'll just disappear in the middle of the night, and I don't think there's gonna be some grand ceremony when it's gone, but they'll wake up one day and it'll be gone. Again, we lived it in 2010 when they took away our Sugar Bowl trophy, and they made us take the 2010 down inside the Woody Hayes. Like, we had like a little memorial to the 2010 season, and all that had to get disappeared, or all that had to be stricken. It's like, that's why it's funny. Like with Tress, like he doesn't have the 2010 season on his record, and they were 12-1, so it even makes his winning percentage even stronger than it actually was. And another win against Michigan, and the first win against an SEC school in a long time. Jeremy Moreland, thank you for the 20. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member as well. What's the deal with JTT? He actually likes to go by JT. So his nickname is either JT or Jalen Tui Moloal. And I think that it's funny. I got a text from inside the Woody Hayes the first year he was there, where I kept calling him JTT, and they said it's not JTT. It's actually just JT. He never goes by JTT. And again, I'm not saying this to like, wave my finger at it, but it's just something I didn't know. So it's funny. He's at year 4, and I still see the JTT a little bit. Yeah, he's only JT. Not only has he been overrated, but he seems to not buy into Coach Mick's weight training. Only thing getting better on him is his hair. Am I wrong? If so, apologize, but blank. So I think the blank might be a swear word. But, I think JT is a guy, he was the number 1 player in the country. Obviously, he hasn't lived up to that expectation, because to me, if you're the number 1 player in the country, then you need to be a 3-and-out top 10 pick, and he's not that. I think he's good. He's a guy that I think will play and have a good NFL career. I don't know if he'll ever be like a dominator in the NFL, because I don't think he's a great pass rusher. Now, I think he's got the moves to. I mean, the guys I talk to that trust me tell me he's a gangster. He's really, really good. And again, I think he's got a lot of ability. I think sometimes early in the season, um, they were too conservative with some of the stuff because you got to understand, like a lot of the stuff that these guys do in the pass rush, especially from the defensive ends, is stuff that Jim Knowles calls and wants them to do. So it's not like when you guys play Madden and you take control of Miles, Garrett, and you can, hit spin move button and bull rush button and whatever button. Like these guys are only allowed to do so many things, especially when we play an athletic quarterback. They're basically cage rushing. A cage rush is essentially, you try to keep the quarterback in a cage. The two D tackles are here, and the two ends have to set the edge and rush to the heels of the quarterback. So they can't do all the wacky moves. They can't hit the spin move because JT has a ridiculous spin move. It's like Dwight Freeney, but he can't use it because he can't lose contain. So I think that as the season went on, they took the chains off these guys a little bit and let them have a little bit more artistic freedom when it came to pass rushing. Because like being a pass rusher is like being an artist. Like there's a lot of setup, there's a lot of finish, there's a lot of different things that go into pass rushing. If you're just like sitting in the stands eating popcorn and having a hot dog and drinking a beer, like you don't notice some of the nuanced stuff that these guys do that's really good. But like JT and Jack Sawyer are both really good pass rushers. And Jack obviously had a nice game against Missouri with the 3 sacks. But towards the end of the year, they kind of let these guys get loose. But I think something that'll help these guys. I got a good tip. Kenyatta Jackson had a big practice today. It was fantastic. He's the guy the light's coming on for right now. And I think Kenyatta, coming in, and Caden Curry, who I didn't hear about today, but I did hear about Kenyatta, that'll make these guys better because they're not going to be like beat to death by playing 65 plays a game. Like these guys should be playing 40, 45. Kenyatta and Caden Curry and Edric Houston each need to play 15 to 18, and just mix it up however you need to mix it up. But that's what needs to happen because, again, I just think these guys were exhausted at the end of games and they just couldn't rush because they were beat to death stopping the run all day. And, there's no, like every D-line in the history of football has some sort of a rotation, but these guys didn't. And it's because, Caden and Kenyatta weren't good enough last year to play substantial minutes versus good teams. Like you couldn't put them in against Michigan without us getting housed or Notre Dame. They had so little confidence. Again, I said this like 2 shows ago. I've never seen anything like Jack and JT playing every single snap versus Notre Dame. Like nobody in the world does that. Like Myles Garrett doesn't do that. Nick Bosa doesn't do that. TJ Watt, like those guys all rotate in and out because that's what you have to do in football. But they were so, like our backup DNs are so underwhelming that they had to play 2 guys the entire game versus Joe Alt and their other really good tackle in a really physical, powerful rushing attack. And again, when you play a team that runs the ball every play, like you're getting hammered like 60% of the time. You're getting like double teamed and drilled, and it's not like playing Texas Tech where they're throwing the ball 75 times. Like that's a game where most of the time these guys don't even need an ice bag after the game. But you play a big running team, you better strap up because it's going to be real. Nevada, your thoughts? What's the deal with JTT? Not only has he been overrated, but he seems to not buy into Coach Mick's weight training. Only thing getting bigger with him is his hair. Am I wrong? If so, apologize. But what?
Yeah, I think he's disappointment is always a function of expectation. And I just think the expectations with him were so high. His recruitment was so much fun and, carried on for so long. And there was so much attention paid to it that he's a guy that's got a chance with a solid year this year to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft. I'm not saying a high pick, but a first-round draft pick, maybe a second-round pick. That's really good. But for the number 1 player in the country, maybe it's it doesn't meet with people's expectations or our own expectations or our own hopes, dreams, whatever we had for JT. But I talked to a lot of people. You talked to a lot of people. He is well liked on the team. He's known as a hard worker by the strength and conditioning staff. He's a terrific athlete. He's a terrific kid, and I think he's going to have a big year. So, no, I think that he's probably been shackled a little bit by the system that we play and by what's been going on with Jim Knowles, and maybe he'd have more gaudy stats in different situations. And we've seen flashes like that Penn State game where he can be completely dominant, or the Notre Dame game where he sniffs out the screen and knocks up, really saved that game for us. So yeah, probably a little disappointing relative to the number 1 player in the country, but still a really good player, and I still believe that he'll be a productive NFL player. He'll play a long time in the NFL because guys like that can play, that are good teammates, that are good solid contributors, and maybe he develops some of those. We know he's got some of those pass rush moves. Maybe we'll see him unveil them a little bit more this year, and then on when he gets in the NFL. So I think we're maybe being a little bit harsh with him, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I just think it comes with the territory. Like if you're the number one player in the country, and again, he had a little bit of the drama to him because he didn't sign until like the middle of the year, and he was a mid-year. I mean, it was a lot of drama around JT. And again, I love JT. I think he's a great kid. Players like him and Jack Story are really close. But man, if you're a guy that makes everybody wait to sign, and you don't come till the summer, and you're like, if you're the number one player, if you're the number one player in the country, people automatically assume you're a 3-and-out top 10 pick. Because like Robert Kimdichie, if he wasn't a total moron off the field, he was a first round guy, and he had top 10 pick talent, and he ended up going, I think, late first round to the Cardinals. But he was just a total idiot off the field, but he was really good on the field. Or the guy that everyone, if you're that number one guy, is Clowney. I mean, Clowney was a guy I watched his film in high school, and he's the best high school player I've ever seen on a highlight tape. And then, and if you guys haven't watched Jadeveon Clowney's high school highlights, they are just unbelievable because he's like 6'7". He's running down like 5'10", 165-pound fast wide receivers. It's crazy. So he goes to Carolina, balls out, 3-and-out, first overall pick in the draft. Like that's what is mentally people's projection when they say, "Oh my God, we're getting the number one player in the country." So anything short of that is going to be disappointing. And frankly, I just think that, with the lack of sack production we've gotten out of the DNs the last couple of years, like it's tough. But again, I don't obsess over sacks. Like a lot of people are like, these guys suck. Jack and JT suck. They don't get any sacks. I'm like, well, the defense that we run stops the quarterback, and we were like second in the nation in total defense. So it's like, I don't care if we ever get a sack. As long as we keep the ball out of the end zone, I'm good with it. I don't care whatever Jim Knowles is doing. I like it because it shuts down a lot of really good teams. And, like Drew Aller had nightmares about what happened to him with JT and Jack and the whole 9 yards. Because again, defense is about the team. It's not about individual plays or statistics. Because, if the DNs just want to go out and freelance and do whatever they want, and the quarterback gets out of the pocket, scrambles around, completes the first down because he loses contain, that's not good, But that's the world we live in. Because again, I'll watch NFL teams, I'll watch their teams play defense, and those ends just genuinely don't care because they're trying to get theirs. Because again, there's a difference between playing like really good, sound, tough, fundamental defense where you run to the ball and you play hard versus just trying to get yours. And in the NFL, all defensive ends care about is getting 10 sacks or 15 sacks. If you get 15, you're going to go to the Pro Bowl and you get that big extension. So it's, I don't know. Like for me, I love what JT does. I love what Jack does. I know fans are disappointed because they don't have the gaudy sack numbers, but I think that they disrupt the game and they affect the quarterback in a major way. And I think that they're going to hit a higher level because I think a big part of them returning is there was some negotiation with Jim Knowles about taking the chains off a little bit on the pass rush. And that's why I think Jack Story got real loose and started like whooping guys because they let these guys freelance a little bit and get to the quarterback better. So, I'm excited to see these guys. These guys both want to go in the first round, and who gets to reap the rewards of that? Us, the fan base. So I'm really excited about that. Oh, this is a great one. Kevin McQuaid, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the super chat. What's good? Scoop World Order, SWO, Nevada, and Kirk Diggler, a.k.a. Burke Carton, a.k.a. Kirk Barton. What happens to Billiam Howard, a.k.a. Will Howard, if Burn the Boats Brown, a.k.a. Devin Brown, wins QB1? Is that even a real possibility? Shout out to my twin bro, Carlugi. I think it's absolutely a possibility. Again, I think that, Will Howard is a likely heavy favorite in this thing because Ryan Day went out and recruited him. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Devin's looked good 2 straight days. He's the first quarterback both times. Now, they rotated through today. I mean, Will Howard was going with the ones a lot. He's got to get more comfortable in the offense, which obviously Devin Brown has a huge edge because he knows the offense like the back of his hand. So that's a big edge for him. Will Howard is still learning it. And again, it's one thing to learn it in a classroom with Chip Kelly and with Ryan Day and with whoever, it's a whole different ball of wax to actually go out and perform it and actually run it out on the field, get a feel for things, get a little bit of a pass rush in your face. I think that's a whole different ball of wax. I think that that's why Devin's probably a little bit ahead of Will right now, or he is a little bit ahead of Will. Nevada, your thoughts? Again, this is one of the funniest questions I've ever seen because he called me Kirk Diggler, aka Burke Carton, aka Kirk Barton. And do you think, Nevada, what happens to Will Howard if Devin Brown wins QB1? And do you believe that is a real possibility, Nevada?
I mean, it's a possibility. Is it a real possibility? I mean, I wouldn't handicap it that way, but I've said this before. I will say this again. I feel more strongly about this today than I ever have. We're going to need both of them. We're going to need both of them to ball out this year. I'm just telling you. It's the nature of the season. None of us have ever experienced a season like normally you go through. So you think about the great Ohio State seasons and some of the past, and you'd be like, okay, how many tough games did you have? And I'm talking about Big Ten championship game era or whatever it would be, and it'd be like, well, maybe one game, maybe the Michigan game was really the only big game, and then the bowl game or something like that. I mean, the murderer's row that we're going to have to go through now at the end of the year, where it's Michigan, Oregon, you know, Texas, Georgia, and then whomever for the national. I mean, we've never seen anything like this before, so we're going to need both quarterbacks. I hope they both ball out. I hope it's a really difficult choice and a tough decision for Ryan, because I think in a season like this, you're going to need the backup to come in and make plays. You're going to need the backup to come in and win games. And so I hope they both ball out. But yeah, I've got Will Howard as like a 4-1 favorite. I think I think he's minus 400 to be the to be the winner. I just think it makes too much sense. So that makes Devin an underdog, but definitely a live dog. Definitely got a possibility of getting it. And I wouldn't root against him based on what we've seen so far. But like you said, it's way early in the process.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sean Rollins, 6 Ultra member. Thanks for the 20. Oh, this is great. After a simple doctor visit, my son got admitted on Monday at Akron Children's. After an MRI and scopes being done, he got diagnosed with IBD. I hope he feels better, my man. Got home today. Again, that's thank God. I hope that he's feeling better. God bless our boy Akeem the Dream. Akeem is the light, man. He is a very amazing human being. Akeem the Dream, Treasure of the Torah, aka he is the goat. He can bring light into darkness. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I mean, I've been really blessed to get to know Treasure of the Torah, aka Akeem, and he is an unbelievable dude. Sean, I appreciate that. I'm really happy for your son. Give him a shout out. Toss his name in the chat and have Akeem text it to me, and I'll give him a little shout out on the show. But I appreciate you, my man. Again, great talking to you the other day. Yeah, we've got really good medical practitioners in Ohio, so thank God for that, especially for any of us that have kids, because my kid's had a broken leg. Thank God he gets his cast off next Thursday, so he can get back to terrorizing my 2 German shepherds like he loves to do, and his 6-year-old brother. So it'll be interesting when he becomes mobile again. So some of you guys have been asking for an update on that, so he'll be back to being a terror in less than a week. Sean, thank you for the 10. Do you guys think Day will punish this year or take out the starters late? I don't think there's any way he pulls the starters this year. Have to think OSU will be a minimum of 14.5 favorites. I pray Day has blood in his eyes, runs up the score. Well, I don't know what to give him blood in his eyes. I mean, but I hope he's got, I hope he's just ready to rock. But if he's got bloodshot eyes, I'd be worried he'd hitting the liquor in the locker room because he's nervous. But I think he'll be in good shape. Again, I love the opportunity that we have this year to put one on Michigan, just because, again, when a team has 5 new starting offensive linemen, a new quarterback, a new coach, it's a different world. And again, I know people say, oh, well, Sean Moore beat him last year. It's like, well, Jim Harbaugh coached the team 6 days a week. Only day he couldn't coach was game day. So, what did he really do? He couldn't be there at the game, but he's doing everything up until the game. And really coaching the game, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But it's if you said, hey, Kirk, if you could have Urban Meyer coach the team 6 out of 7 days and not have him game day, or just have him game day, I'd say he can coach the other 6 days. Me and Nevada could go out there and run the team on game day. It's not that hard. But, there's some management. There's some, hey, do we go for it on fourth down? Which, again, if you're with Nevada, he's going to go for it on every fourth down. He's like that guy in Madden that'll go for it 4th and 20 from his own 10-yard line because that's how he is. Because that's what the analytics tell him to do. But, if you said, hey, Kirk, is it more important to have the coach the 6 days of the week other than game day? Wait, like 99% to 1%. Like coaching game day is important. Again, I'm not trying to denigrate that, but getting the team ready to go, discovering the plan. Because again, through Sunday, Monday, again, I'll take you through a work week as a football coach. Sunday, Monday is heavy game planning. So you're watching a lot of film. You grade the film from the previous Saturday. And then, Sunday night, you really start watching the tape, some more tape. Monday all day is watching tape. You're watching tape, developing the game plan. And that's a 14-hour day minimum in general. And then Tuesday you're grinding through some stuff, but generally you have a pretty good plan for your run game on Tuesday. Practice Tuesday, develop the third down stuff for Wednesday to Thursday. A lot of the short area throw game is Wednesday, Thursday practice stuff. Thursday is general just clean up, walk through, and then Friday you have a walkthrough. So to have Jim Harbaugh do all of the game planning, all of the kind of deciphering of what teams are trying to do, because it's not just what they do on film, it's what are they going to do against you, because you can say, oh, well, this is how they played this last team, but well, that ain't how they're going to play us, so there's a lot of projecting, and you're kind of figure out the code, because that was like I've said this story a million times, but in 2012 nobody in the Big Ten had ever seen anything like Urban Meyer's power spread offense. So we had no clue how teams are going to play us. Because when we're getting ready to play Michigan or somebody, and we're watching them play against Northwestern because their offense was kind of like ours, they ended up playing us nothing like they played Northwestern. So you got to really decipher it, because that's going to be something that's interesting with Chip Kelly is nobody in this conference has seen Chip Kelly's offense. I mean, Oregon did last year, but it's going to be more of a conglomeration of Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. So it's not just full on Chip Kelly, but if I'm getting ready to go against Chip Kelly and I'm Akron, I'm watching some UCLA film to get ready for it, because again, it'll be Ohio State's offense, but I think it's gonna be Chip Kelly's running game, which will be awesome because I've watched a lot of film of it. But Nevada, do you think Ryan Day will punish Michigan this year and take the starters out late? I don't think there's any chance of that, but I want your opinion on that. And do you think Michigan? You have to think OSU will be 14-point favorites, and do you think Ryan Day will have blood in his eyes and runs the score up?
I think if Ryan has that side of him for sure, and so if he gets the opportunity to lay it on Michigan, he absolutely will lay it on Michigan. What I'm hoping is that in the pregame that he does 2 Ryan Day mosh pits with the players or something like that to get the guys doubly fired up or something like that. And if he does that, then I'm betting everything that I have on Ohio State in that situation right there. I don't know if we'll be quite 14.5 point favorite. If I had to handicap the game right now, I'd say based upon what's happened in the recent past, that Ohio State will probably be a 8.5 point favorite game into the game, maybe a 9 point favorite. But yeah, this certainly is has the earmarks of one of those games that could get out of hand, because this is an awfully talented Ohio State group. I don't think people really have any idea how good this team's going to be. I think it's going to be total domination from beginning to end, and I think that's going to be a season-long thing. And I can't wait to see the Chip Kelly offense running with Quinshawn and Trey. I get giddy. I'm giddy goose just thinking about that, because those guys they're gonna feast. They're gonna be put in great spots, and they're gonna go crazy. But yeah, if Ryan gets a chance, he'll leave them in. He'll run them up, and he'll twerk on Michigan at the end of the game and do the whole thing. So it'll be glorious.
That'll be a great day in the shoot. I can't wait for it. Roger Smith, thank you for the deuce. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member as well. QB for game 1, Sharon suspension. OH Nevada.
IO
from Kyle, Texas. God bless Texas. Appreciate you, my man. I'm gonna go Will Howard. I love Devin Brown. I think Devin Brown. We were team Devin Brown last year, and he just was kind of snake bit. He got hurt a couple times. I think early in the season, when he got some time, he was pressing a little bit because it's like when you are up against it and you've only got 10 plays to impress Ryan Day, you're gonna go crazy. It would be like if if Fox Sports came and said, all right, Kirk, you've got 2 minutes to impress our executives to see if we should hire you for $100 million contract. Like I'd be like, blah, blah, blah. It probably wouldn't be as smooth or as good as I'd want it to be, but you got 2 minutes. So you got to kind of squeeze it in. So like when we give Devin Brown 10 plays, like, like it's just not, he's going to press because he's going to try to make every play. He's not going to make it safe. He's going to do some stuff that probably wasn't, stuff that he'd normally do, but he was trying to make a statement, make some splash plays, and it didn't go well. So I think that hurt him because he was pressing, and he got hurt a few times. Like they tried to run him down in the short red zone. I think that was against Penn State, and he got hurt, and then he got hurt in the bowl game. So I don't question the kid's toughness at all. But the durability is just one of those things where it sucks. Like, I mean, I was a tough guy, but I got hurt a bunch in the NFL. And it kind of ended my run. Tore a hamstring, which was painful. Broken ankle, stuff that you can't really play with. So that's not a toughness thing. It's just a durability thing. And there's nothing I can really do about it other than stretch more and pray to God big fat dudes don't fall on my ankle anymore. Nevada, your thoughts? QB for game one, and will there be a Sharon suspension? I didn't answer the Sharon suspension part. I don't think so, but I mean, with the show cause, I mean, if he gets a show cause, man, like he might be donezo. But they paid him, so again, I don't know. But Nevada, your thoughts on that QB for game one, and will there be a Sharon Moore suspension?
Yeah, I'll say Will Howard as well, which a chalky answer, but that's what I'm going to go with. I think that the Sharon Moore suspension, they suspended Jim Harbaugh last year. Our information is they are going to be able to tie Sharon Moore to it. And if he gets the show cause, I think that they'll be, they can still employ him, but there'll have to be some sort of suspension that goes along with that. So I'm going to go, Sharon Moore suspension, yes. Nevadabuck is saying, yes, there will be a Sharon Moore suspension.
I think that'll be amazing if he gets to the show cause too, which that easily could happen. Gio did it. 42. Thanks for the 10. Appreciate you, my man. According to our secondary, no surprise, they're very impressed with Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs' has close relationship with Jordan Hancock helped get him here. Very excited to see him play. I think the foundation helped get him here because they wrote him a big fat check. They have an exclusive deal with him, NIL-wise. I think Tim Walton and Jim Knowles did work, especially Jim Knowles. Like, that's the thing is people don't give Jim Knowles enough credit in recruiting. I think it's because he looks like Billy Bob Thornton, Bad Santa. But I think he's a guy that players like playing for tough guys that'll hold them accountable, and that's what Jim Knowles is. He's not the standard rah guy. Like, we live in this land now where a lot of these young coaches are complete idiots and clowns, and they don't really deserve the jobs that they have. But they impress somebody, they fold somebody along the way, and if they're like a good graphic designer or they're good at making scouting reports or something, and like, oh, he's really good with the computers, so let's make him a coach. But they're not great coaches. Like, Jim Knowles is a great coach. He's old school, he's tough, he makes guys play hard, and again, like, he gets after guys, which again, I like that. I came from the D'Antonio land, Jim Haycock land, and I mean, those defensive rooms used to melt. And honestly, I wish that we had more of that on the offensive side of the ball when I played, because I had that with Urban. Like, with Urban, like, our offense got melted all the time, which was great. But we didn't have that as much with Truss. And again, I love Jim Trussell, and he did it his way, and we won a lot of games. But I think we left some meat on the bone some years because there were some guys. There's some guys. You think in college football that everybody's self-motivated. They're not. There's a lot of guys you have to have your foot so far up their hind end that you can't even see your kneecaps. But like, that was how some of those guys were. And like with Urban, he had Sam Drayton's foot so far up Carlos Hyde's hind end that he couldn't even see straight. And Carlos turned into a really, really good running back and a good NFL player. And he never would have been that under the previous regime just because he wasn't self-motivated. And again, I like Carlos. I think he's a really good player. And there were a lot of guys that I played with that were like that. But I think Jim Knowles is a guy that he's like that. He drives these guys. He's hard on these guys. He gets after these guys. So it's really good. Again, he's a guy, the thing about Caleb Downs, and again, I am the king of NIL. I love NIL more than any human being on this earth because it got us Caleb Downs. What does Caleb Downs bring to us other than just a severely, severely talented player? These young guys can see how that kid works. They can see how he acts. They can see how he takes care of himself. Why? Well, because his dad played in the NFL for a long time. His dad knows what it takes. Like, I've been in the NFL. I get it. His brother is in the league. He wants to be in the league. He wants to be a high pick. He wants to. So it's like he's all business. And again, when you get some of these young guys in the building and they're just getting to college and they're freshmen and hey, what do we do? Did we go out and kick it? Did we go out and party? Did we go out and do this? And I saw it. Like when I was a freshman, I was all business. I was about trying to get on that field. I wasn't trying to be friends or kick it. And then I'm not saying I was a nun, like I was going out and partying some, but like I wasn't partying like some of these guys were. Like some of these guys that I played with, they're kicking it with some upperclassmen that did some wild stuff. And I was like, guys, like, don't you think you should like and these were really, really good players at Ohio State. I was like, guys, don't you think you should like establish yourself before you like are eating the fruits of the labor? And nah, man, this is what the All Americans do. I was like, I don't think so. I mean, they can do it because, again, like, just because like Lawrence Taylor doesn't mean you should do it. I mean, he's a different animal, and that's how some of the guys were that I played with that were older than me. But I think a guy like Caleb Downs is he's such a positive influence on young players and even veteran players. I bet there's guys that are probably older than Caleb Downs that probably look at him like, damn, I should be watching film like that guy does, or I should get in the building early and get a routine going and warm up and get stretched out before I go to meetings just because it'll help with soft tissue injuries. And like, there's all these little things that great players do that none of you guys ever see. They get routines. And Caleb's that kind of guy. And again, he is ultra, ultra, ultra special. And we're going to enjoy him for the next years. Thank God we got him as a true sophomore. We actually have him back for next year because he's going to be special. Nevada, Geo did it ass. According to our secondary, no surprise, they're very impressed with Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs and his close relationship with Jordan Hancock helped get him here. Very excited to see him play. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just what I like about the Caleb Downs thing, other than this, like you said, the obvious contributions he's going to make on the field, is just kind of the message that sends to the rest of the college football world that like when Caleb Downs, who's arguably the best returning defensive player in college football, leaves Alabama, chooses to go to Ohio State, it's like it's almost like the passing of the baton. The king is dead, long live the king. Alabama's gone. Who's going to be the new bully boy of college football? And it's Ohio State. And I think getting a guy like Caleb just it sends that message. It sends a message that Ohio State's open for business, that we're serious, and that we're ready to fill that void that's been left by Saban leaving Bama. So yeah, I love everything about it. The fact that we get him for 2 years, like we did with Davison, those types of transfers are, I'd say they're doubly impactful, but it's way more than that. It's probably 3 or 4 times as impactful as just a 1-year guy. And really excited to see Caleb on the field because he is a physically imposing dude. And he's helping the young guys. I mean, he's helping Jalen McClain out there, and Jalen's starting to make some plays, doing some things out there, running around, looking like he's wants to be a contributor. But, Caleb's taking him under his wing already and helping him out as well. So Caleb's already making an impact with some of the younger guys, and it's just great to see.
No, I totally agree. Woody the historian, thank you for the 5. If you have a question a little bit later, I'll get to you in 2 more super chats. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the 5. C. Watt, thank you for the 5 as well. Thank you for the super chat. With Ole Miss being looked at as a contender this year, what was the deciding factor that made Quinshon Judkins leave? Well, I think it was Trey Henderson. Nevada, I'll let you take this one first. With Ole Miss being looked at as contender this year, what was the deciding factor that made Quinshon Judkins leave?
Well, it's really, I think the question for Quinshon was really that he felt in that situation that there had been commitments that had been made to him that hadn't been fulfilled at Ole Miss, and I think there was just the trust was kind of fractured, both in terms of on the field stuff as well as some of the off field commitments that they made to him, and he was looking for greener pastures. And as you mentioned, Trey Henderson, when he became available, they literally went to Trey and said, Trey, we're not pushing you, but we just want to know, are you considering staying or going? Because Trey's like, no, I'm staying, but not only am I staying, but I'll recruit this guy. I'll be the recruiter. I'll reach out to him. I'll be the guy that gets him here to come to Ohio State. And so Trey was the tip of the spear on the Quinshon Judkins recruitment. which is really just an amazing story, and that's why when we talk about the block go, we talked about the contributions for a guy, what is a guy like Trey Henderson meant to the program, but just what a completely selfless act. And as you guys know, I've defended Trey for a long time I was like one of the lone voices defending Trey when a lot of people were just all over this kid. And man, I don't know if people really realize what a special human being he is. And just think about a guy that's a first team All-American or whatever you want to put Trey in terms of the college football landscape, but recruiting the guy that could be his chief competition or the only guy that's as good, maybe better, maybe a little to come to play at Ohio State. That doesn't happen. And the fact that Trey did that just shows you he's team first. He's always about that. And he's a guy that I root hard for and that everybody really should, because he's just a great human being. And the Judkins thing is just a great story. I don't think I've ever heard a story quite like that before at Ohio State. And, pretty amazing stuff. And like you said, we're gonna get a treat to watch them both this year.
Well, I think the biggest determining factor is, these guys are all way, way smarter and more educated on the business of football. Especially, these running backs are dime a dozen. I mean, running backs, you look at the NFL running back market and it's like kind of a who's who. It's Saquon Barkley and a lot of these guys, because they know that they might only get one contract and then maybe a franchise tag and then maybe a 1-year deal. So these guys are trying to get drafted as high as possible with the most tread that could possibly be left on their tires. Because again, teams run these analytics and they say, well, Quinshon had 270 carries last year, and Trey Henderson in his highest volume year, his freshman year, he had 180. So Trey, when he had that massive freshman year, and again last year he had around 120. He missed a bunch of games, hurt. The year before he was right around 100. So Quinshon is like, well, are they going to give me like 300 more touches? Because again, the difference between 270 carries and 180 carries is basically like 3 workhorse games where you're getting you get 30 carries in a game, man. That's a big workload for a running back. So, and plus he catches the ball. Like if he's a guy that you can throw him the ball to the backfield. So that might be another, 40 touches. He's 35, 40 catches. So you're talking 310 touches. Now, again, 6 or 7 of those are going to finish in the end zone. You're not going to get hit. But all those other ones, you're getting hit. You're getting stroked by somebody. So guess what? Like, that's a lot of damage getting done to your body before you're getting paid NFL money. So these guys like Trey and Quinshon are like, well, if I bring this kid in here, it's probably going to hurt my chances at getting the Doak Walker Award, which is the award for the best running back in the country. But it'll help my NFL longevity, production, draft stock. Because again, NFL teams don't care about winning the Doak Walker. They care about who is the most talented guy, who's got the cleanest injury sheet at the combine. And that's what Trey Henderson's going to be. Like, again, Trey, he's been dinged in the past, but now that you have Dallin Hayden, Trey, Quinshon, I don't know if James Peoples likely won't have a huge role this year. You've got a nasty 3-headed monster at running back. And again, I said it before, I'll say it again. In a season where we potentially could play 16 games against really good teams. Because again, that road at the end of the year is going to be like heck, because you're going to be playing Oregon in the champion. You're going to play Michigan, Oregon. If you're by some miracle not the Big Ten champion, you're going to host a home playoff game. Then you got the Final Four, and then you got the championship. So it's like you need every good player you can get, and especially at running back where guys get beat up. So I think that Quinshon is a business guy. I know Quinshon very well, and he's a guy that's a business guy. He's a smart business. He's got smart people around him. His mom is astute. So I think that like that whole combination, like him and Trey both want to play in the NFL. They both want to be first-round picks. First, second-round picks, good money, get into a good situation in the league, get some endorsement deals. That's the pathway. And, getting another 270 carries at Ole Miss isn't going to look attractive to NFL teams. Now, because, his yards per carry went down from the previous year because I think he was just more beat up, and they didn't have as talented of a staff around him, or excuse me, a supporting cast around him. But Quinshon's got a lot of ability, and with Chip Kelly's offense and with Trey Henderson spelling him, those fresh legs at the end of the season are a godsend, and he's going to find that out. Taterbuck, thank you for the 20. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks, the both of you, for supporting our fellow veterans. Yeah, I love signing people up for Pay It Forward because I generally call every single member. I thank them personally, and I talk about the branch that they served for. Again, especially if it's a Navy guy, because my father-in-law is a Navy guy. But I love getting to know these guys. A lot of them are a little bit older. I want to make sure they know how to use BuckeyeScoop.com. Like, hey, if you have any questions, just call me because I'm always awake. I'm like, I don't sleep. So just give me a ring. But I love the Pay It Forward program because I get to know some of our heroes really well, and it's been awesome. I've learned a ton of football from your channel, which makes it so much enjoyable. I appreciate that, Tater. Thank you so much. Thanks for your honesty, integrity, and inside view of OSU football. Nevada, OH.
I-O.
Well, that's really kind of you, Tater Buck. Again, we love doing this. And again, like especially like when we get a tip on this Michigan story, I couldn't wait to get on here at 7. Like it's like one of those things where sometimes we're like, should we go earlier? And it's like, nah, people are expecting us at 7, and so let's just go at 7 because that's when everyone's expecting to, sit in front of the TV or get on their iPad and kick it with us. So, but man, I couldn't wait to do this one today. So it was exciting. Nevada, your thoughts again. Tater Buck, thanks. This is a beautiful message. Thanks to the both of you for support of my fellow veterans, and again, I also appreciate your service as well. I've learned a ton from football from your channel, which makes it so much enjoyable. Thanks for your honesty, integrity, and inside view of OSU football. Nevada, your thoughts?
Well, again, such a nice message, and yeah, the Pay It Forward program is great. Just been so fulfilling, and we're happy to do it. And for you people that are listening, we do the show 90 minutes, 75 minutes, 2 hours a night, but the other 22 hours a day we're at BuckeyeScoop.com. So if you'd like the YouTube channel, come to the website. The website is so much fun. It's nonstop like this thing. You can get information from anything on how to cook a souffle to tax information to the stock market to when should you take Social Security to every conceivable type of sports, Ohio State question, and we break everything on the message board first before we talk about it on the YouTube channel. So just so you know, so if you want it first, you'll be a member of BuckeyeScoop.com because everything goes on the BuckeyeScoop.com first. That's the mothership, and then we share it here on the YouTube channel. So if you like this show, join BuckeyeScoop.com. I promise it'll be the best 30 cents a day that you spend, and for the price of like a pack of certs every month, you can be a really informed Buckeye fan.
Yeah, it is a blast. I mean, we've got some of our topics, like obviously a ton of like the most spring football coverage you'll find anywhere. Bill Greene did his chat today. We have a discussion on what's the best long range or the best long rifle. Like, I mean, it's hilarious what people want to talk about. And then, like, a lot of times you'll see some topic like that, and then all of a sudden it has 100 responses because there's a lot of people that are experts in certain things, and it's a great community. Like, I love being a part of it. Woody the Historian, thank you for the 5. OH, Nevada.
I-O.
With modern analytics, would Jim Tressel run Maurice Clarett 4 times after the Chris Gamble punt, pass, and kick a field goal? Probably. I mean, Tress ran the crap out of Maurice that year, and Maurice was really good at it. Probably. I mean, I think. Tress. What do you think, Nevada? With modern analytics, would Jim Tressel run Maurice 4 times after the Chris Gamble pass and kick a field goal? I mean, he loved him some field goals now. When we had Nuge and we could actually hit him all the time, big time.
Yeah, he did like himself some field goals. He loved to run the quarterback. I mean, you remember that great game, leading rusher in the game, Craig Krenzel, and it's a really interesting. Tressel he was a master at just shortening the games, a master at field position, and I don't know how that would play in the modern in modern football in 2024, but in his time he was as good as anybody who's ever did it, and that's why he won so often at Youngstown State and got it done at Ohio State. He was a truly one of the greats, so we were blessed to see him there for sure.
I totally agree on that. Happy 2014, and thank you for the 10. With Sonny's coverage skills, doesn't the Sam linebacker make more sense? I think it would if we played the Sam linebacker more often. I think that the problem with the Sam linebacker is it doesn't really exist anymore. A Sam linebacker is basically the same thing as a nickelback in modern football. And the nickelback is usually Jordan Hancock, defensive back type build, plays over the slot receiver. I think when you look at Sonny, I think that they want him to be on the field a lot, so that means he's likely going to be a will linebacker because Jordan Hancock is one of the best 11 guys on the field. Sonny Styles is also one of the best 11 guys on the field. So, you want to try to configure it so that they're both on the field at the same time. I think Sonny is physical. Again, I watched him smoke when he was a 17-year-old freshman. They were playing Wisconsin, and Wisconsin had their big, white dude fullback with the big neck roll and the knee brace and probably weighed 250 pounds, come off the edge on their power play and run right at Sonny, and Sonny killed the guy. And that was a grown dude. That was a grown man. And little Sonny, who's out there as a 17-year-old, absolutely cold cocked him. And I was like, that's when I knew that kid was real. I was like, that kid is delivering a blow like that to a little sawed-off Wisconsin fullback who's ran that play 1,000 times. I was like, this dude's going to be a problem. So I think it would make sense for him to play Sam, but we don't really play a Sam anymore. Again, in our defense, we're nickel probably 90% of the time. Against some teams, 100% of the time. Might go dime with 4 DBs, but I think most of the time we're going to be out there with our nickel out there with Jordan Hancock playing. And again, I think if there's a bigger slot receiver or a team, runs something where they flex a tight end out, Sonny would make sense out there. But Jordan Hancock's too good. Like, I don't know how you take him off the field. He was really good at nickel last year. And I think Sonny's going to be really good at will linebacker. I think him and CJ are going to be, a 3-man rotation. And I think Gabe Powers is a guy that people need to talk about more because I think he's got to be in the mix a little bit as well. Arvell Reese is another guy. He's running with the twos some, playing Mike. The thing I worry about with Arvell is he's a heavy dude. And I mean, he's a couple biscuits away from being a D-end. And I think he knows that. So, Jim Knowles talked today about how Sonny Styles, he had to starve himself to stay safety, to stay small. And now now he can eat because now he's grown into being a linebacker, so he can eat a little bit more. And I think Arvell's kind of in that same boat where he's kind of at the heavy point of being a linebacker, and heavy linebackers end up being defensive ends or defensive tackles usually. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. But he's a good athlete, and he's really, really a good player. But I think he ends up being a DN too. Nevada, your thoughts with Sonny's coverage skills? Doesn't Sam at linebacker make more sense?
Well, I think you covered that designation pretty well, but I thought it was interesting today that Knowles specifically talked about playing Cody, CJ, and Sonny at the same time. He actually brought that up today and talked about in certain situations against certain teams that they would go to that kind of traditional 3 linebacker look, which I thought was interesting. And then he also talked about, kind of the 3-man line, Ty Hamilton, Ty Leak, Hero Canoe, and then you're kind of dropping Jack and JT as kind of linebackers. And I thought that was kind of interesting as well. So it seems like he's going to try to vary the looks up a little bit. What I liked about it the most, frankly, was just it was more guys. I like them involving more guys on the defense because I think rotating the guys, whether it be via different sets, different looks, different formations, whatever it might be, you just can't play the same 11 guys the whole game because those guys will get worn down. We won't have the same type of pop in the fourth quarter, and I think it's really cost us in the past. But they're demonstrating some creativity already on practice number 2. Talking about different ways to get different guys on the field, and I'm excited about it.
I totally agree. It'll be interesting to see if that actually comes to fruition. Because again, spring is where hope is eternal, and some of these formations that they talk about are eternal. But will they actually become a real thing? Woody, the historian, you're cracking me up with these questions. Thank you for the 5. Give me 1 second and get Nevada back in here. Woody, the historian, thank you for the 5. I appreciate you, my man. Nevada, OH.
IO.
Or this is a continuation. Let me see if I can scroll up and see your other one. You talked about Tressel running Reese Collette 4 times after the Chris Gamble pass and kick a field goal. And they said, or your second part. This is the first ever 2-part super chat in the history of Buckeye Scoop. So I appreciate you being creative here. Or would JT throw to Ben Hartsock in double coverage to get the fumbleception to kick a field goal? So I think that basically what you're getting at is no matter what, Truss is trying to kick a field goal versus whoever we play. That's very creative. I mean, I could see that happening Benny did have like 30 catches his senior year, so that was pretty good. He probably should have been the tight end of the year in the Big Ten, but he wasn't because Ben Utek got it from Minnesota. But very creative stuff, Woody, and I appreciate your humor. Making fun of my boy Tress for loving to kick field goals. Treasure the Torah. What is up, brother? What is up, Akeem? The Wrench brother extraordinaire, Scoop Ultra member. Thank you for the 100. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you. Kirk, stay golden and stay strapped of always. Love and respect to Nevadabuck. Shout out to Devin and Cujo, the raccoon. Kirk, Sean Rawlings' story is really amazing. God is so good. Elijah went in for an MRI and nothing showed. Also, Sean and Elijah came home safe yesterday. Shout out to Elijah. Elijah Rawlings, thanks for coming home safe, my dog. Appreciate you, Tora. Thank you for being just an absolutely amazing human being and just a great person. Great friend. Love talking to you, dude. Even when I'm exhausted, I try to get in all of our calls, and a lot of times it's about an hour. So I appreciate you so much, brother, again. But congrats to Elijah. Glad he came home safely. Thank you for all you do, Akeem. You're the man. You and Devin, the Wrench brothers, keeping it clean, and then the Kimbo, who's our other moderator, my wife. Because on the Scoop, it's a family show and a family business, so even my wife has to work every night to take care of these Michigan fans and moderate. Beach Buck, thank you for the 10. Starting the 15 season, Meyer was only one natty away from Saban. We choked the Michigan State game, and Saban won his 5th straight on to GOAT status. Meyer still up at night with what ifs? Probably. I'm just knowing Urban. I don't think he's ever satisfied. If I was him, I wouldn't care. I mean, he's got a great gig now. He's making a couple $1 million here at Fox. Works, I don't know, 60 days a year right now for Fox, and it's work. You know, he flies in first class to LA, does the pregame show, flies to wherever the Big Ten game of the week is, and does the big noon kickoff. Like, that's not real work. Like, that's not slaving away. Like yeah, that's not working a 9 to 5 like we all do. So I don't know if he's miserable, but knowing him, and how close he was to Saban, and then Saban just kind of pulled away, like that probably irks him a little bit. But I think that the fact that he got that ring at Ohio State, he got rings at 2 different spots. Saban did the same thing. I'm sure that the way he went out with that miserable season at Jacksonville probably still irks him because not a guy like Urban Meyer doesn't want to go out like that. But I think he's at peace with where he's at in life because he's he gets to be an analyst now. Like, he doesn't have to worry about NIL, and he doesn't have to worry about transfer portal. And the college football that he coaches is it doesn't even exist anymore. So I think he got out while the getting was good, and he gets to enjoy life and just be a college football a guy that studies football. Like, again, I obviously I was not Urban Meyer, but like I had a decision to make where if I want to keep coaching or get out of it, and I got out of it. But I still love studying football, and it was kind of what morphed into Buckeye Scoop. So like people say, a lot about football. It's like, yeah, because I coached it. I played it. I study it every day because I want to bring you guys the goods, and that's what we do. So again, you need that outlet. When you're like addicted to something, like I'm addicted to football, this is a great outlet for it. And you guys are fantastic parts of it. Again, this is always a big show because you guys make it one. And you guys bring great, great questions. And it's always fun to keep me kind of keep that edge of making sure that I'm tight when I deliver an answer to you guys, because I want to make sure, like, when you guys are supporting us, like, I want to make sure that you guys get a good answer for your question. So I appreciate that so much, Beach Buck. Nevada, Beach Buck asks, starting with the 15th season, which is obviously the year after they beat Oregon in the championship, Urban Meyer was only one national championship away from Saban, and then we choked the Michigan State game, and Saban won his 5th straight onto his GOAT status. Do you think that Urban Meyer is still up at night with what ifs?
Well, all I can say is I still can remember every game that I lost playing or every game that I lost coaching, including some heartbreaking games, even coaching my kids. That still bug me to this day. So I can imagine if it bugs me coaching funky in MBYB basketball, blowing a 9-point lead with 41 seconds to go, that Urban losing to Michigan State probably still keeps him up at night. And but like you said, he's got more money than than Smog, and he can sit there, lay in that big canyon with all the gold around like Scrooge McDuck and swim in the gold coins. But no, he's a competitive guy. I'm sure he remembers every loss and wishes he had. I'm sure he wishes he had the play call back against Michigan State in what was it, the 13
Yeah.
Big Ten championship game, or he wishes Hireman made that block, or wish he ran Hyde instead of running the option with Braxton. I mean, like this is what coaches do. So yeah, I don't think I'd want to be in Urban Meyer's brain, because I'm sure that's a busy place.
And it's hard. Like I said, I remember the losses. Again, you lose 2 national championship games, you don't forget those games for the rest of your life, even if you try to. And then you remember the Michigan wins, but in between it's not really much. I remember I remember the 05 Texas loss better than I remember the 06 Texas win, because I felt so terrible that we lost in that 05 year. That was our best team by far that I played on, and to lose that game and to kind of crap it away at the end, it just, like, I remember that game vividly, and I wish, again, it's one of those things where you wish you could forget it, but you never do, and like you never forget the major losses. And Urban is the same way, because I know him implicitly well, and I know that's how he rolls. Carl McQuaid, thank you for the 5. Shout out to Kev Bosky. Thoughts on if Chip was brought in to be the heir apparent, or does he really just want to be an X's and O's coach? OH Bovada.
I
think that's a sports book, isn't it? Bovada or something like that.
Bovada.
I don't think that there's any way that Chip is trying to be the heir apparent to Ryan Day. I don't think he's the guy that's angling for that. I don't even think he'd take that. Unless Ryan left to go to the NFL, and like for some reason, if Ryan got some crazy offer from some NFL team, and Chip and Ross Bjork was like, Chip, we want you to take over the program. If Ryan blessed it, I think he'd do it. But like, if Ryan gets ran out of town, Chip ain't staying here. So I don't. That never crossed my mind that he would be the heir apparent, because for one, he's not getting any younger. For two, Ryan Day is like his, one of his best friends. He's Ryan Day's mentor. I really think he wants to be an X's and O's coach, and I think that he wants to be reinvigorated and help out a guy who's really near and dear to his heart. And frankly, I think he wants Ryan Day to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, Ryan, you go out to eat with these donors. You talk on the phone to these guys raising NIL money. You do this type of stuff. So, and again, I think that's the new change that's happened in college football. Is like, look, like, guys, like, you guys got to go raise money now. Like, you got to go raise NIL money, and you got to talk to these parents and deal with the transfer portal. So, it turned like one really hard job into like 2 really hard jobs, because, and then when you're Ryan Day and you're also running the entire offense, it was like he was working like 3 full-time jobs in a year. And it's crazy that he was able to do it, but I don't think he was as proficient as he liked to be. And that's why I think that like Chip Kelly coming on is like an absolute godsend, because, again, if you could pray to God, if you're Ryan Day and you're like in bed, saying your prayers like this, you're saying, please, Jesus, let Chip Kelly come here, because he knows my offense. He's my mentor. He's the guy that I trust. He's the guy that'll crack the whip on the staff and these players. And I know that he's going to innovate this thing and turn it up to a different level. And I'm not going to have to do any of that. And I can trust him. Because again, what Ryan Day wants is when he walks out of that offensive staff room and Chip Kelly is sitting at the chair at the head of the table, then he can feel like at peace and be like, and not be a micromanager. Because again, Ryan Day has made tens of millions of dollars calling plays. Like, that's why he's the head coach at Ohio State, because he morphed our offense into this dynamic passing attack. We've had this incredible run of quarterbacks, and that's what has made him all of his money, and all of a sudden to hand that off to somebody, it's really freaking hard. Again, like we have the number 1 Ohio State podcast in the country, not even close. And so for me to hand this off to somebody, it better be somebody really, really good, because we've built this thing, and that's how Ryan feels about his offense on a much higher scale, much grander level. Because again, if he hands up to Brian Hartline last year and Brian, stutters or doesn't know what he's doing, then it could cost Ryan his head coaching job, So again, this isn't like, the stakes here are sky high. And that's the beautiful thing about Chip Kelly coming here is like, there isn't a human being on this earth that Ryan would pick over Chip Kelly to run his offense. And that magically was able to happen. So I am excited about Chip Kelly. I do not think that he's ever going to angle to be the head coach here. But I hope I literally hope he's the offensive coordinator for the rest of my life. And I hope I live for 1,000 years because again, I would love to have Chip Kelly calling our plays because it's going to be incredible to watch. Nevada, your thoughts? Was Chip Kelly brought in to be the heir apparent to Ryan Day, or does he really just want to be an X's and O's coach?
No, he was not brought in to be the heir apparent. Yes, he really likes being an X's and O's coach, and he's you got to understand he's just figuring out how much he really likes being X. He thought that this was the move that he wanted to make, but now he's totally sure this is the move. I mean, Chip loves doing the offensive stuff, and everything else annoys him. And so right now he is absolutely in his element, and as happy as he's been in coaching in 25 years. And we're going to get to see an invigorated, enthusiastic, innovative Chip Kelly at Ohio State in 2024, and it's going to be a treat. So yeah, buckle up.
Yeah, I'm just really excited. Donald and Karen Rosbeck, thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. Thank you for the 50. Very kind of you. Thank you for being awesome on BuckeyeScoop.com. I love seeing that screen name pop up because I know you had a different screen name, but now this is your screen name, so it's great to always have that correlation when people have the same name in the podcasting universe and also on BuckeyeScoop.com. Much love to our Scoop family, Wrench Crew, Kirk, and Nevada. Thank you all for what you do for the family. We wanted to give back to another fellow veteran, Nevada OH. Yeah, again, like I love it because again, I try to call, again with the paid forward, we usually get a military ID and then I usually give them a call and just kind of talk to them about how to use it because some people have never been on a message board before, so I want it to be very user friendly, very easy. Show them how to log in, show them how to get to the message board. And I've met some amazing people that we've signed up and paid forward. So again, the generosity is amazing. The program is amazing. Again, I've got to help out some really good guys. So some of my guys that are watching the show that are on there now, you know who you are. Some of you guys a little bit older, and I love talking to you guys on the phone and hearing some of the stories and how you enjoy the program. So it means a lot to us that it's become a part of your day. Again, we're here every night at 7, and my wife's usually moderating. If she's not putting my kids, give my kids a bath or something. It sounds like it's bath time when my kids are screaming. So, but I appreciate you so much, Donald and Karen. Again, Nevada, Donald and Karen at Rosbeck, Scoop Ultra members as well. Much love to our Scoop family, Wrench Crew, Kirk, and Nevada. Thank you for all you do for the family. We wanted to give back and help another fellow veteran, Nevada OH. I did a double read, but I want you to give your, again.
And I was going to say, we just appreciate you guys so much. And I love the way that you guys have migrated from the YouTube channel to BuckeyeScoop.com. And it is just one big family. And I love the fact, I love seeing people on the YouTube channel and then seeing those usernames show up on Buckeye Scoop. It's really cool. It's a really way to kind of continue. I feel like the party continues on when we have that. So thank you guys so much for being members here and being members there. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think that the coolest thing is like we have a real community. I mean, and again, I tell people, because Buffalo Wild Wings, like, hey, you gotta do a meet and greet. I'm like, well, you guys better have a lot of wings and a lot of beer because I mean, when my people show up, it's gonna be they're rolling deep. I mean, I got people wanting to fly in for our meetups, and I mean, it's gonna be crazy. So when we announce it, it's gonna be wild. And by the way, merchandise coming next week, so I'm very excited about that. We're locking that down, and it is gonna be fire. I can't wait. Eric Peterson, thank you for the 10. Any word on how Gabe Powers looked during winter workouts and the start of spring practice? Do you think he jumps Hicks as the first linebacker off the bench to get some meaningful snaps? I think he has a great chance. Maybe not to jump CJ, but he's gonna push CJ, and he's gonna push Sonny too. I mean, I think that CJ's still running with the ones. So, I mean, Sonny still has to take CJ's spot. But Gabe Powers is there. Gabe Powers is a guy, very, very athletic, very quick. He's a Marysville kid. I saw him play in person twice because he played Ryan Miller and Dublin Jerome in the regular season and in the playoffs up at Marysville. Marysville, if you guys haven't been to Marysville Stadium, it might be the nicest stadium in Ohio. It's better than a lot of college stadiums. Gorgeous because it's right next to Scott's Miracle Grow. So Scottsboro got a lot of money, and Honda's up there, so they built like the nicest football stadium that I've ever seen in high school. And Gabe was there, and really really good kid. Was a dominating kid. Played both ways. They played in the wing tee. He was running back, tailback, and he was also obviously a linebacker. Blitzed a lot. Really liked his game. Really nice kid. But obviously he's gained a lot of muscle in his couple years with Mickey Marotti. I think he's got a chance to be really good. I love everything I know about him. I know James Laurinaitis loves him. So again, it's one thing for me to like him because again, I'm an offensive lineman, and again, I know football really well. But when a guy like James likes him, that's a different. Like for me, that's a different level. You know, because if I talk about offensive tackle, it's one thing, but like if James says that this is a really good player and you got to watch out for him, then I think Gabe Powers has got a nice role on the team this year. And again, I say it over and over again. This is a very long football season, and guys are going to get hurt. That's the only certainty in football is that guys are going to get hurt. This is how it is. So last year, Tommy Eichenberg was beat up. Cody Simon's been dinged up. So he's one misfortunate play away from having a huge role on this team, and he still might have one. Again, this is going to be a core special teams guy for sure, and I think he could have a nice role in the defense because he's smart. He's very athletic, and he's gotten very, very powerful working with Mickey Marotti. Nevada, Eric asked, any word on Gabe Powers and how he looked during winter workouts in the start of spring practice? Do you think he jumps Hicks as the first linebacker off the bench to get some meaningful snaps?
I mean, Gabe's like if you pick my dark horse, player of the season, it's Gabe Powers. I mean, he's the guy he's an under the radar guy. But I like him a lot, and the people I talk to like him a lot. And so, yeah, he's the guy that you notice. He's the guy that makes plays. He's really smart, really athletic, really instinctual. Just has a nose for the ball. And I think if he gets the opportunity, he's going to take it like a dog in a bone. He's just not going to let it go. So yeah, he's definitely guys looking good. I mean, he's behind some kids that are super talented, super highly heralded, and are probably going to get the first opportunity, the first bite at the bacon. But I think he's going to be in it. Like I said, if I had to pick one under the radar guy to be like who's going to come out of nowhere and play, Gabe Powers would be my pick.
Yeah, I love his game. Great kid, great family. I think he's gonna do some really good things. Eddie Phillips, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, my man. If you have a question, toss that in the chat. Oh, my man, Pooh Beard 12. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being a scoop off Twitter. Thank you for the 5. What's the scoop with Caden McDonald? That's a great question. It sounds like he could be a game wrecker. Also hearing that Luke Montgomery could move to right guard. That has happened. Any truth to that? Nevada OH.
Well,
I'll go Cade McDonald is a very interesting guy because he is a very stout guy. He's a very powerful guy. Because then I something I like to do when I talk to people on the program is like, who are the hardest guys to block? Because again, all the superlatives like, oh, he's great, in the weight room and he's tough, whatever. But who's hard to block? And Cade McDonald's a guy. It's like he is a guy that's hard to block. A guy that he reminds me of when I hear people talk about him is like Quinn Pitcock. Quinn Pitcock was a guy that was a first-team All-American in 06, third-round pick. Quinn's a guy, obviously, he had some issues off the field. He was addicted to video games, which, again, I'm not making light of that. But, he literally cost his NFL career because he couldn't stop playing video games. And, Quinn would have made $50 million in the NFL if he would have stayed straight because I was watching film of him my rookie year. I made the Chicago Bears. We're getting ready to play the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football. And I was with Olin Kreutz. Olin Kreutz is one of the greatest centers in NFL history. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he will get into the Hall of Fame. Olin was like, this guy is really good. What is going on with him? Because, he didn't go to training camp, and he was skipping summer workouts. So, when you're a young player, you can't do that kind of stuff. And I don't think he didn't play that game. He kind of went AWOL from training camp in the Colts. And Olin's like, this guy's the best player. And they had Freeney and Mathis, and those were the two best defensive ends in the world at that time. But he kept looking at Quinn, and Quinn was wrecking dudes in the NFL. But he had that video game thing where he stopped playing in the NFL, and it cost him a fortune. And then he tried to come back, and he wasn't anywhere near as explosive. But that's what Caden McDonald reminds me of. He's a stout guy. I blocked Quinn a lot of double teams, and we would crush guys on double teams when they'd run to our side. Quinn was the hardest guy I ever went against in terms of getting movement because he was so strong. His lower body was so powerful, and he was low to the ground. He played with great leverage, never got high. So we couldn't crank him out of there. Like a lot of those guys, like Joel Pettin, we'd put into like orbit. A lot of the guys that we went against, I mean, like literally, like they'd be in like outer space once we got a hold of them, and there'd be a huge gap, and you'd see Antonio Pittman or Beanie go flying through the hole, and you hear Jim Haycock screaming at Joel or whoever. But we could wreck pretty much anybody, but we couldn't wreck Quinn. And that's what Caden McDonald reminds me of. And then Luke Montgomery is playing at right guard right now. I think that could stick. But for Luke, it's going to come down to Kenny Anchor inside versus really good defensive tackles in pass pro. Like really, like I'm talking like Ty Lake's like 340 pounds of twitched up dude. And can Luke stop that? Because again, Luke's a very good athlete. Is he strong enough at a young age, or is he going to struggle a little bit like Carson did? Like Carson Hinsman, I think Carson Hinsman is the most improved player on the team from the bowl game to now. I mean, he had a fantastic winter from people I talked to in the weight room, and he's got, he was embarrassed. I mean, he was embarrassed and humiliated by how the season ended. And I think with Carson, you can go one of two ways. You can cry about it and you can be a little, whatever about it, or you could turn up a little bit and you could be on tilt and you could get an edge and you could have that chip on your shoulder. And that's the edge. Carson's got a serious edge to him right now. And I love that. And he used to get in fights with Mike Hall all the time. I love that. He's a feisty dude. But he wasn't strong enough to play as much as he played last year, but he still hung in there and did it. Now that he's stronger and he's a little heavier, I think he's going to be really good. But I think that could be something that could happen with Luke this year, because Luke's going to be in year 2, which is where Carson was last year. And Luke is probably a little bit more athletic than Carson. But I think he has the same strength issues that Carson had last year. Because again, he's only 19 years old. He's young. So when you're 19 and you're going against Ty Leak, who's, 22 and could be a first round pick, like that's hard. Because I'm telling you, when you're that first team right guard, you got to go see Ty Leak every day. And you better eat your Wheaties and go chew on some nails. Because that is not going to be fun when you're going against Ty Leak. But again, the first 3 practices, there's no pads on, so there's no bull rushing. There's no substantial pass rush going on. But Luke's got to prove that he can hang in there versus the power guys. Nevada, Pooh 12, and again, he's one of our best posters on BuckeyeScoop.com as well. So what's the scoop with Caden McDonald? Sounds like it could be a game wrecker. Also hearing that Luke Montgomery could move to right guard, which is true. He did move to right guard. And again, I don't think that anything is final at this point. I think that they're experimenting. Could he bump out the tackle? Absolutely. I mean, you got to remember a couple years ago, we had Josh Fryer starting at guard at the beginning of training camp, and by week 2, they put Thayer Munford at guard and put DeWan Jones in the game, because initially Josh was ahead of DeWan in the starting lineup in 2021, and then they rectified that after 2 weeks of practice. So anything could change at this point. It's experimentation city. But your thoughts on that, Nevada, on Caden McDonald and Luke Montgomery?
Well, Caden's the guy that we've heard a lot about over the winter, and a guy that's just really physically impressive, getting a lot of accolades from the other guys for his strength, for his quickness, and he's another guy that people have been telling us to watch out for. So it's no surprise to me that kind of people are kind of cluing in, saying, "Hey, who the heck is that?" Because he's physically imposing, and certainly a guy that I expect to make some noise this year on the defensive line. As for the offensive line stuff, man, they're moving guys all over the place right now. So I really wouldn't read too much into any of the line things, whether it be with Zen or Austin Steerwald or Carson or Fryer at tackle or at guard, or Luke. He played left guard. He played right guard. They're moving guys all over the place right now. So I really wouldn't read too much into it on the offensive line, because I think you'll just get confused, because they're doing a lot of different things when the media is not there. They're showing one look when the media is there, then they're showing a completely different look when the media is not there. So don't get too hung up on the position stuff, because it may not be what you think it is. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, again, this time last year, Josh Fryer was playing left tackle for the entire spring. Didn't play a single snap left tackle by the time it was game time. Switched him to right. Josh Simmons wasn't even on the roster. Like this year, they're moving Josh Fryer around. They're moving Josh Simmons left and right, first and second team. They're really trying out a lot of combinations, and they need to get good long looks at George Fitzpatrick, Tigre Tishkabola, Luke Montgomery, Austin Sierveld, Padilla, and a guy that, was running with the twos a little bit and is probably going to get some run with the ones, Seth McLaughlin, the kid from Bama. So, again, but if you just go by strictly winter conditioning, Carson Hinzman was better. Now, again, that's not football, it's conditioning, but Carson was better than Seth McLaughlin was. So, again, does that mean anything when it comes down to football? Probably not. But but again, it's a data point. And again, we're here to give you guys data points, and coaches love data. Like, hey, this kid was nails and killed it, and he's got a different look in his eye, and that's why Coach Mick is the GOAT. Like, again, because Coach Mick would come in, give us a full rundown of every guy on the roster, and you could tell when guys were going like this and guys were going like this, and that's as you can kind of get like, where's their morale at? Could they hit the back then we didn't have the portal, but could he be wanting to transfer or get out of here? So Mickey he's incredible at what he does with evaluating guys during the winter. Jeremy Moreland, thank you for the 5. Is that 05 loss to Texas when our defense was winded with no timeouts? It could be. I mean, I don't really remember that because I just know that we choked on offense. Like, we had to kick 5 field goals, and our defense couldn't have played any better than they did. I mean, they held Vince Young to 25 points, and it's like when you watch them in every other game that year, they're scoring like 49, 56, 70, and then we held them to like 25, and 2 of them were from a safety, so really it was like 23 points, and that was one that we were pathetic on offense, and the funny thing is we graded out as an offensive line as high as we ever had. As a collective group, we were balling that night. Like, I played the best game like up to that point. I played the best game of my career against Texas. That game, so it wasn't like we weren't ready to roll, but there were just mistakes that happened at bad times, and we missed a field goal at the end, and the field goal would have iced the game, and Josh Houston missed it, which is fine. But again, we dropped the touchdown pass. I mean, you can't, and I say this every time I talk to you guys, you can't make mistakes that are just insanely stupid versus teams of equal talent. If you're playing Akron, you can do that. If you're playing San Diego State, you can do that. When you're playing a team that's as good as you, and Ohio State, the biggest problem with being at Ohio State is you just don't play many teams that are as good as you. I mean, you're better than 99% of the teams out there. So you're already at like a 10-point edge just because of your talent. But then when you make dumb mistakes versus equal talent, it's what costs you. Again, it costs us the Florida game, the LSU game, just dumb stuff. Even games that are like, you guys, oh, that's a blowout. Well, if you go break it down, there's a handful of plays that if they go the other way, we could win, or we would have won. So again, it's a lot thinner margin for error than you guys think. But a couple bad plays early in a game can lead to a snowball effect, and it turns into an avalanche, and you get buried. Tony Turley, what is up, brother? Appreciate you, the King of Toledo. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member as well. Imagine Ryan Day wins 2 national championships in the next 3 years. The NFL will be all over him. I think they're kind of already sniffing around him. Then Chip takes over as head coach. Here we go again. Stacey retires at age 72, which would be 10 years. Just saying. Nevada, OH.
I-O.
Well, I just think that Ryan Day is going to be in exceptionally heavy demand going forward in the NFL because he's a quarterback guru. Again, like I'm telling you guys, like these NFL guys not coming after Ryan shocked me, especially this coaching cycle with the Patriots coming open because he's a New England guy, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but like the job I was worried about was Ryan Day heading to the Patriots because that's his hometown team, grew up there. A lot of tradition. They've got a great owner, great everything. I mean, that's a great place to live. It's his hometown. And, everybody, like, when you're a young kid or you get into coaching, you dream of coaching the team that was your NFL team growing up. Like, I mean, it'd be like me dreaming of coaching the Cleveland Browns or something. So, but they didn't really stiff around him. And they went with Gerard Mayo, which I think is going to end up being a terrible decision. Because, again, I want a guy that can develop a quarterback. That is the most important thing in football. There's nothing else that's even close to it. And I think that, when you do that, you look at the hiring patterns, Sean McVay and Cliff Kingsbury and some of these guys that they're QB gurus, they get really good jobs, and some of them turn into fantastic coaches like Sean McVay and some of them flame out like Cliff Kingsbury. But the quarterback thing is something that I think is, it's an expensive mistake for owners when they take a quarterback high in the draft and they don't have a guy that can develop him and he ends up being a bust, because that costs you a lot of money, a lot of goodwill with the fans when you're cycling through quarterbacks. Again, you've seen the famous Cleveland Browns jersey where you've seen 40 different quarterbacks or whatever it is since '99, and but when you hit on that guy, like the Texans have got to thank God every day that they got C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson with picks number 2 and 3 in the draft. They got 2 Pro Bowlers as rookies, and they're set. They're going to be really good for a long time. So Nevada, our boy Tony Turley, a Scoop Ultra member, says, imagine Day wins 2 national championships in the next 3 years. The NFL will be all over him. Then Chip takes over as a head coach and stays until he retires at 72. Oh, which would be 10 years. Just saying. Nevada, I totally think the NFL is going to come after Ryan Day because they should. He's a good coach. He's young. He's just a kid. I mean, again, like he's older than I am, but like he's not like he's some 65-year-old. And again, teams like the young guy, innovative, offensive. The game is so skewed towards offense that like getting an offensive guru to run your thing is a really good move. But your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, look, I mean, every year the NFL has, they're kind of their hot coaching candidates out of the college ranks. And we've just been lucky enough to kind of dodge that for a while, but no more. I mean, Ryan Day is going to be the first name mentioned on a lot of people's lips. He's going to be a guy that's going to be in high demand. And, just going to have to get used to it. It's going to be the new reality of football and Ohio State football going forward is every winter we're gonna have to worry about losing Ryan Day to an NFL team, and I hope it doesn't happen for a long time.
Yeah, I again, like if we had a coach that was never approached by the NFL, I think that's worse. Like I'd rather have a coach that's like that people want, because again, that's kind of like the old I don't say chicken or egg, but it's like like do you want coordinators? Because again, I go back to the Tressel and like I love Jim Tressel, I love Jim Bowman, I love Jim Haycock. But like Jim Bowman and Jim Haycock weren't, they're older guys. Jim Bowman was an offensive line guy. So, offensive line guys generally aren't, the smoothest dudes in the world outside of me. But they, but they're not, they were getting approached by major colleges to come run their programs. Like normally you'd think if you're the offensive or defensive coordinator at Ohio State, obviously we went through D'Antonio, Mark Snyder, but then Luke Fickell, obviously, but like with Jim Haycock and Bowles being a little bit older, like they weren't really approached to run programs. So I think that to me, I'd want my coaches, and this is kind of like the Urban Meyer mindset where he wanted his coaches to be, like moving up in the world. Like he wanted them to be position coach to coordinator to head coach. That was kind of his progression that he wanted everyone to have. And, I think for Ryan, like Ryan's in a great spot right now because he has 2 coordinators that I think are very content coordinating, Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly, which again, and they're really good at what they do. And again, for the overall longevity of the program, I think it's helpful when you've got 2 guys that are kind of good in their way. They're good in their roles. Like they don't have their mind racing to say, ooh, if I have this big year, I can go get that head coaching job that I've always wanted. I think that they both, I mean, Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly have both been head coaches, and they're older guys. And again, I think that that's something that I think that there is ageism when it comes to some of the coaching hires, especially you see younger guys getting jobs. You see players that don't have a lot of experience getting jobs. So I think that that's something that plays really, really well for Ryan. Because again, if I'm Ryan and I can keep Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly along for 2-3 years, like my life's amazing. As opposed to a guy that could launch off in a year and then you got to go replace him. Like kind of like Jeff Halfley. Like Jeff Halfley took off and then we had to hire Kerry Combs and that was a disaster. And Ryan can kind of avoid that with having Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles, as his co-pilots running the offense and defense. So I think that's something to watch. Again, I think that the way the staff is structured right now is amazing. And again, I think it's going to be really good for the longevity of Ohio State. Between that and the 12-team playoff, folks, we're going to be really, really good, and we're going to make the playoffs every year. So, well, Nevada, I think we can wrap this thing up. This is a nice, long show, good, healthy show. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, what a great day. The Michigan stuff is imminent, getting ready to drop. So get out your party favors and get ready to sit back and enjoy watching the Michigan misery as they start to fend off all the the enemies at the gates that are going to be besieging the Michigan castle here shortly. And Ohio State football looking good. So we'll be here giving you the stuff as it's going along. But watch for that Michigan thing to hit. And when it does, remember, Scoop had it first.
Always. And Nevada, how are you going to celebrate when this drops? Because again, I've been planning my celebration all day, and I'm really excited for it. But what are you going to do when this first comes out? Because that's the one thing I haven't asked you yet.
Yeah, I'm probably going to open up a nice bottle of wine and
Yes.
have a little bit of wine, and then I'm going to go online and go on social media and just troll Michigan fans all night under different pseudonyms. I'm gonna go under Burt Carton 1, Burt Carton 74, Carton
God.
Burke, and stuff like that, and just do that for hours at a time, and that provides me with endless enjoyment.
Well, that'll be I don't know how they'll ever be able to trace that back to you. They'll never know. They'll never
know.
ever
They'll
know.
never put it together. They'll never put it together.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, real quick, last thing I wanted to do. We've got a big Buckeye Scoop fan here on here who watches with her dad every day. Dad and mom are great, huge Buckeye Scoop supporters. Our girl Andy Jo Taylor tweeted she was watching with her family today. So if you guys can download her single, it's on Apple Music. Andy Andi and then Jo and then Taylor Taylor. They as a family, and she's a great singer, country music, future country music superstar. They watch the show every single night, and her dad and mom love this show. So check her out. Again, her songs are actually great. So I just want to give her a quick plug. I appreciate you tweeting us, Andy Jo. You're the best. As always, thank you guys so much for kicking it with us. Again, another huge episode. Appreciate you guys just being awesome. Thank you for the generosity in the super chats. Again, the paid for has been awesome. I love getting to know a lot of these people. Oh, 1 second. AZ King is in the building for the 10. Salute, Scoop family. Appreciate you, brother. Shout out to all, especially the Wrench Assassins. Ooh, I like that. The Wrench Assassins. See, I always think of the Wrench like Clue. You know, you're in the conservatory and you're Professor Plum or Colonel Mustard. I was always Colonel Mustard. It's my boy. With the wrench in the conservatory or in the study. But I love the Wrench Assassins. That might be a t-shirt. So I appreciate you, AZ King. You're the best. But again, I appreciate you guys so very much for all that you guys do for the program. It's been a blast. It's been an incredible ride. So if you guys enjoy this content, click that subscribe button, send it to your friends, send it to people that support Ohio State football, that love Ohio State football or college football. We're getting a lot of new subscribers that just like college football. They leave it in the comments and they love learning and interacting. And, we're pretty chill here and it's fun. And we try to make sure that it's always on point when you guys get to listen to us. So appreciate you guys. Also click that the little thumbs up on your way out. The likes are huge. They really help propel the video to new heights. So if you guys could click that like on the way out the door, those are huge for us. Again, it's kind of like a little thing you can do that takes a millisecond and it helps the program immensely. And if you guys like these live shows, again, click the little alert bell. You'll get an alert when we go live, which is usually 7 o'clock, around 7 every night. Something about Buckeye Scoop, man, is like we own the night. That's our thing. Like we're here for you every night. We've been going like crazy and it's been a blast. So we appreciate you. This is great. Jeremy Moreland, again, another 10. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for being Scoop Watch. Remember, are you dead set on that B-dubs? Got one close with my company holding a nice hotel with discount for guests. No DWI. Just asking. Love to help. I'm not sure what B-dubs I picked. I think I said the one on 5th Avenue. The one, again, and there could be multiple ones, so it doesn't have to be just one. But yeah, I mean, I can move around a little bit. But again, B-Dubs is one of our title sponsors now. They are an incredible group, working with both a franchise group that's excellent and also their national team. So it's been really fun. Again, they reached out to us and they love that I drink out of my B-Dubs cup. And I said, well, keep making good wings and cold beer, and I'll be there. So, but I just appreciate you guys so much. But Jeremy, I'll get with you on that one offline. But again, thank you guys again. Shout out who you guys are watching the show with. Again, I love seeing who you guys watch with. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out to my Southern Ohio boys. Again, holding it down. I saw South Point was in the building. I saw Chesapeake. I saw Ironton, Portsmouth. My guys over the river in Huntington. Shout out to all the Ohio State fans down in Southern Ohio because you guys are the best and you guys are the most hardcore fans that I know. So it's always great to talk to my Southern Ohio boys. So I appreciate you guys. I'll get down to the river soon. I'll let you guys know when that will be. But again, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We're going to talk to you guys tomorrow, probably be right around 7 o'clock. So get ready to rock and roll. Have a great last day of the work week, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.